Okay, I'm back, and you're back, so let's continue. Newt Gingrich is probably one of the most hypocritical trash of any politician who's ever served in the U.S. Congress in modern times. I mean, we've had some real doozies over the years, but Newt Gingrich is in a class by himself. And I think what is the defining characteristic of Newt Gingrich is his hypocrisy, and his hypocrisy goes bone deep. Now, once he married up with this blonde wife of his, she was Catholic. I don't know what Newt was. I think Newt was, some Protestant bullshit. But he converted to Catholicism after he married this woman, or probably right before, in order to satisfy her religious sickness, apparently. But I digress. During the investigation of President Bill Clinton, now, if you remember, when Ken Starr started that investigation, although I don't think he started it, but when it started, it was an investigation into a failed land deal in Arkansas called Whitewater. And it was a project to build, housing project or something. And the Clintons were involved in it, but they never did anything but put some money into it. And the thing went belly up, and people lost money, including the Clintons. Well, once the Democrats got control of, the Republicans got control of the House in the middle of Clinton's first term. For the first time in, 70 years, all of a sudden the Republicans that had been a minority fringe party of jerkwads and assholes for decades, all of a sudden they were in control. Whoa, well, let's go after Bill Clinton. That investigation of the Whitewater land deal, of course, went no place, but it led to a whole cast of strange characters and women who, I using the term strange, I'm not denying that Trump had a problem with his, keeping his zipper up. I'm not denying that at all, although I don't know. But there was a series of women who came forward once Ken Starr started his investigation with all sorts of wild tales to talk about old Bill Clinton. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this about him. There's something very unique about his, his down there. Oh my God. And then, of course, the infamous tape recorded phone call, in which it became clear that Bill Clinton had been having a sexual relationship with an intern. And the intern, Monica Lewinsky, was not all that interested in exposing all this, but she had a Svengali in the background, a right-wing Christian nutcase who prompted her to let Ken Starr know. Well, you know the rest of his history. Well, the reason I bring that up is because in the middle of all that, Newt Gingrich was one of the biggest mouths howling and screeching and screaming about, oh, this Bill Clinton, what a rotten son of a bitch, taking advantage of an intern. Of course, Monica was over the age of consent, way over the age of consent at the time. But never mind. Oh, Bill Clinton's doing this, Bill Clinton's doing that, said Newt Gingrich. And in the meantime, while he's screaming all that, Newt Gingrich was, I think he had just divorced his third wife, the one who had cancer, and was in a hospital room after cancer surgery when Newt went into her room and said, in, I don't know what language he used, but he told her that he was divorcing her. Well, that was part of the saga of Newt Gingrich. In the meantime of all this, Newt Gingrich was screwing interns himself. Only Newt didn't have the decency to rent a room. He was having sex or forcing interns to perform oral sex on him in his car, in the parking lot that was restricted to members of Congress. No, this is true. This is true. Oh, and remember they tried to pin a murder rap on Hillary? What was that guy's name? How soon we forget. But Newt Gingrich was, until Donald Trump, one of the most evil so-called Republicans to come down the pipe. He was so jealous of Donald Trump. These were baby boomers who were involved in a death struggle as to who was going to be the leader of the free world. Was it going to be Newt? Was it going to be Bill Clinton? Well, Bill Clinton won. And Newt, not that Newt was running for president, but I'm talking about power. So Newt's objective was to destroy Bill Clinton and take his wife with him too. So anytime I see something in the 40 years since, roughly 35, 40, what's it been since the mid-90s? It hasn't been that long. In the 30 years since, anytime I see something attributed to Newt Gingrich, my gag reflex and my bullshit detector both start to go off at the same time. It's very difficult to even walk down the street. You know, when you've got a gag reflex and your bullshit detector is beeping, what are you going to do, right? Well, that brings me up to what I want to share with you. One of the Christian fascist lawmakers in the state legislature in Florida is introducing, his name is Jason Broder. Jason is introducing a law that would determine that bloggers who write about elected officials must first register with the state. Oh, my God. I don't think Stalin did this. The bill was filed by this crazy bastard, Jason Broder, and it will require bloggers to file periodic reports with the state of Florida if they are paid for posts about the state's governor, lieutenant governor, cabinet members, or legislative officials. Bloggers, I should say, would have to disclose who paid them and how much, along with other information as, well, for example, where the post is located online. Where did you put that, little booger? And they would be fined $25 each day that the report is late. Up to a maximum of $2,500 for each thing they file and don't pre-register with the state before they file it, before they sell it. And the legislation would not apply to content on, quote, the website of a newspaper or other similar publication, end quote. No, that comes later. So this bullshit got the attention of the Newtster. Oh, Newt Gingrich heard about that. And now, you remember, he's a former Speaker of the House. And when he heard about that, he really lost his shit. Newt did, and he called it, his word, insane. Oh, really, Newt? He tweeted on Sunday, quote, "The idea that bloggers criticizing a politician should register with the government is insane. It is an embarrassment that it is a Republican state legislator in Florida who introduced a bill to that effect. He should withdraw it immediately." Well, now, if Newt Gingrich were, dare I say this, a normal Republican, there are still a few out there. If he were not easily identifiable as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, if he was just someone who had become prominent in the political field and he made the statement about, yeah, this is insane, this is crazy, it would be worth paying attention to. But because it comes out of the mouth of Newt Gingrich, I just wonder who told him to go do this. Now, on the side of reality, the executive director of the First Amendment Foundation, a guy named Bobby Block, he said, quote, "The only thing that I can see is that it's an attempt, this law, to limit and control free speech. It's an attempt to bring critics to heel, and it's an attempt to make sure that people who want to talk, have to think real hard before they do so," end quote. Can you imagine how your humble and obedient servant here Mike Malloy would fare under a rule like that? Oh, son of a bitch. I mean, that's when I guess I'd have to arm up and head for the streets. I mean, I don't know. Now, according to Associated Press, it's unclear how far this nutcase's idea is going to go in the Christian fascist-controlled State House in Tallahassee during the upcoming legislative session, which began, by the way, today. The Associated Press tried to contact the guy who came up with this crazy shit idea, this Jason Broder, as well as Republican leaders, I should say Christian fascist leaders in the Florida House and Senate for comment. And, of course, they really didn't get any response. Now, you know who's putting him up to this. Of course you do. It's the honest-to-God, full-out American fascist / Nazi, Ron DeSantis, who is trying to turn the state of Florida into some kind of a fascist state unique among unique among all 50 of us. That's what DeSantis is trying to do. Now, in a Twitter post, though, Mr. Broder, Mr. Jason Broder, said that his bill is aimed at bringing transparency to blogs that advocate or lobby for specific causes. Oh, yes, of course, that's all it is. Yeah. Now, not only is this little bastard Jason Broder involved in this kind of mischief, but he's also sponsoring a separate bill that would make it easier to sue media for defamation. And that is specifically a proposal being pushed by the Christian fascist governor of that state, Ron DeSantis. Make it easier to sue media for defamation. Well, would you like to have that bill passed, Mr. Broder, to make it easier to sue, Fox sewer? You see, DeSantis has made criticizing the media. That's one of the upfront exhibits of his national profile. He wants the people, before he decides whether or not he's going to run for presidency, which he will, he wants to let people know, well, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make it easier for the media to be sued, because you know how the media goes after you, Mr. Everyman or Miss Everywoman. You know how the media is always trying to destroy your reputation, aren't they? Well, they sure as hell are trying to do it to me. You know how they try to do it to me? They tell the truth, the bastards. So why not pass a law inspired by Governor Ron DeSantis to make it easier to shut down any kind of criticism? Huh? But that's what DeSantis is. That's what all of these right-wing Christian terrorists are. Un-American. The ACLU added this, quote, "This is a clear violation of the First Amendment because it strongly discourages bloggers from speaking on politics, one of the most critical types of speech for maintaining a democracy." Yeah, that's very true, isn't it? But that is the objective. It's destroying this democracy and replacing it with a fascist government steeped in Christian fascism and leading this country not by the vote of the people, but by the will of the leaders. We've seen this before. Up to 80, 90 million people were killed the last time globally, the last time some bullshit like this attempted to go global. We're aware, or we should be, of 6 million Jews who were murdered because of this bullshit. We should be aware of millions of people in Europe and Asia and South America and Southeast Asia who were blown to pieces and murdered and killed in combat in order to stop this kind of bullshit that these people in Florida now are proposing. And that the QAnon scum and the Fox sewer rats and the right wing in this country, this is what they are trying to do. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.